The highway curves. Your eyes flicker toward her, toward the sharp angle of her jaw when she clenches it, the faint light tracing her cheekbone. You don't remember when talking to her began to feel like crossing an ocean. Maybe it was months ago. Maybe years. You glance down at the dashboard clock, its green glow counting minutes you can't get back. The argument had started somewhere before the on-ramp. Something about trust, about time spent elsewhere, about voices raised when you were supposed to be quiet. You had both run out of words, then out of breath. And now the only sound is the wind pressing against the car. There's a flash, something sudden, white, and merciless. Tires scream. You reach out her hand, the wheel. You'll never know which came first. Then comes the crunch of metal, the shatter of glass, and the deep, impossible silence that follows. When you wake, the world smells like antiseptic and rain. The ceiling above you is pale blue, sterile, humming with fluorescent light. You blink, unsure if you're dreaming. There's a gentle beeping, slow and steady, matching your pulse. You try to move, and the pain glooms behind your eyes, slow and spreading. The nurse says your name, softly, carefully. You don't recognize it at first. You repeat it in your head like a foreign word. Then another name drifts through the room, a woman's. It hangs there, half familiar but slippery. You frown, trying to connect the sound to a face. Across the hall, she wakes too. Her eyes flutter open, pupils catching the morning light through half-closed blinds. The doctor's voice is calm, explaining, reassuring. The words minor head trauma and temporary memory loss slide past her like fog. She blinks, her gaze unfocused. When they mention your name, she hesitates. It stirs something, but not enough. Days pass, nurses come and go. You learn to sit up, to walk a few steps, to smile politely when people ask how you're feeling. They tell you there was a car accident, that you're lucky, that you both are. You nod, even though luck feels like a word made for other people. One afternoon, the door opens and she's there. You don't know who brought her, but she pauses in the doorway, unsure whether to step in. Her eyes search your face the way someone looks for a memory they misplaced. You smile, first out of politeness, maybe instinct. She smiles back, small and cautious. The nurse says your names, says you're married. You both laugh as if it's a joke you don't understand. Married? It feels impossible, yet something inside you, some flicker deep and quiet, doesn't reject it completely. Later, you catch yourself watching her as she sits in the visitor's chair. She doesn't speak much, just traces the edge of a cup with her thumb, lost in thought. You notice her wrists, slender and pale, a faint scar near one. You wonder how it happened. You wonder if you were there when it did. At night, when the hospital halls go quiet, you lie awake and listen to the rain tapping on the window. You think about how strange it is to forget. The way it empties you, cleans you out, leaves room for something new. And yet, sometimes you feel the echo of something old laughter, maybe, or an argument that burned too hot. You dream of her before you know her. In those dreams, she's sitting across from you in a kitchen filled with morning light. There's coffee. She's smiling. You can't hear what she's saying, but it makes you want to reach out and hold her hand. When you wake, that feeling lingers, soft and bittersweet. A few days later, you see her again. This time, she brings you a small paper cup of lukewarm coffee from the vending machine. You both laugh when you realize it tastes terrible, but it feels like the start of something small and fragile, like the first green shoots after winter. You talk about ordinary things, how the hospital food tastes, the sound of the rain, the faint whir of the machines at night. She tells you she likes the smell of mint, and you tell her you hate the color of your hospital gown. These are small things, but they feel important, like clues in a puzzle you're both trying to solve. Sometimes you catch her looking at you with a faint crease in her brow, as if she's trying to remember something crucial but can't quite reach it. You feel the same. There's a ghost of a life between you, just out of reach, like a word on the tip of your tongue. You find yourself hoping strangely, quietly, that when your memories return, they'll be kind. That whatever came before wasn't as bad as the silence suggests. You don't know yet that the forgetting is the mercy. You don't know yet what you've left behind. But for now, you close your eyes and listen to the slow rhythm of the rain outside, feeling her presence near, both of you suspended in a fragile peace you don't yet understand. Morning comes slow, gray, and humming. The hospital feels like a limbo, everything softened by the scent of disinfectant and coffee that is always a little too bitter. You're standing by the window when she walks in, her steps light but uncertain. She is wearing one of those oversized sweatshirts that might have belonged to you once, though neither of you can be sure. She says your name, testing it again, as if the sound might suddenly fit into some missing slot in her mind. You answer softly, and there's that same small, bewildered smile between you, the kind that says, I don't know you, but I wish I did. Over the next few days, something gentle starts to unfold. You learn the rhythm of her laughter low, quick, with a tiny breath at the end. You learn that she drinks her tea with honey, not sugar, and that she always tilts her head slightly when she's listening. She learns that you hum when you're thinking, that your hair sticks up stubbornly at the back, and that you like your toast burned just a little. They let you both walk outside one afternoon, down to the hospital garden. The air smells of soil and cut grass. You watch her as she kneels to touch a cluster of pale lavender flowers, her fingers brushing the petals with care. Something about the scene feels too familiar. It tugs at a thread somewhere deep inside you. You almost say something, but the thought slips away before you can name it. She glances up, eyes catching yours. Do you think we were happy? She asks quietly. You take a breath. I'd like to think so. She smiles at that. Me too. You both stand there for a while, watching the wind ripple through the leaves. It's easy to pretend that this is the beginning of something, not a memory you've both forgotten. Back in your room, you find a small notebook among your belongings. It's cover worn, the pages filled with scribbled lists and notes in your handwriting. There's a name at the top of one page, Clara, her name. And beneath it, a note that reads, talk about the house. The silence. The long drives. You stare at it for a long time, feeling an ache you can't place. You close the notebook and tuck it under the blanket, like a secret you're not ready to revisit. That evening, you share dinner in the common lounge. She sits cross-legged on the couch, balancing her tray, her hair tucked behind one ear. The TV hums in the background, some game show no one's really watching. She looks at you and laughs suddenly, a full, unguarded laugh that startles even her. What? You ask, smiling. I don't know, she says, shaking her head. You just look like someone I used to like. The words hang between you, half joking but warm. You chuckle, pretending not to notice the way her cheeks flush. There's a moment, a soft one, when your fingers brush as you both reach for the remote. It's nothing, and it's everything. You both pause, eyes meeting. Something electric hums through the quiet. But it's fleeting. She looks away, and you both pretend it didn't happen. Later that night, you lie awake again, watching the ceiling blur in the dark. You think about her laughter, about how her eyes crinkle at the corners. You wonder what it means to love someone you can't remember. You wonder if memory is what makes love real, or if maybe it's something simpler. Like the way your chest tightens when she smiles. In the morning, she's waiting in the hallway, holding 2 cups of coffee, one for you, one for her. I think I'm supposed to bring you this, she says. It just feels right. You laugh, take it from her hand, and your fingers brush again. The spark returns, softer this time, more comfortable. You walk together down the hall, matching each other's steps without meaning to. Days blur, the hospital becomes a place of patterns, checkups, short walks, shared meals, quiet jokes. You begin to feel like 2 people caught between lives, slowly building a temporary one together. Sometimes you both catch glimpses of the past without context, a melody that makes her tear up, a certain cologne that makes your stomach twist, the way her hand hesitates before reaching for yours. These small hauntings drift through the days, harmless but unsettling. Then, one afternoon, a nurse mentions that you'll both be discharged soon. The thought makes you oddly nervous. What happens next? Where do you go when the past is missing, but the future feels like a fragile guess? You and Clara talk about it quietly over lunch. She says she wants to see the ocean, that she feels drawn to water. You nod and tell her maybe you'll go together. You don't know why that feels right, it just does. That night, she falls asleep in the chair beside your bed. Her breathing is soft, steady. You watch her for a long time, feeling a strange ache in your chest, not of longing exactly, but recognition. There's a scar on her hand, faint but visible under the lamplight. You reach out, almost touch it, but stop halfway. You don't want to wake her. You don't want to break the fragile calm that's settled between you. You close your eyes and let the sound of her breathing anchor you. It's steady, familiar in a way that feels older than either of you remember. You wonder if the accident didn't just take something away, but maybe gave something back too. You wonder what you'll remember first. And you hope, quietly, that when it happens, it won't change how you look at her now. The first week back home is like stepping into a house you've lived in forever but can't quite remember. The furniture feels familiar, her mug in the cupboard, the worn spot on the couch where she always sits, but it's as if you're re-seeing it all for the first time. Every sound, every scent, every small object carries a little shock of recognition. You don't know if it's memory or instinct. Morning begins with the soft light spilling through the blinds. She's in the kitchen before you, humming quietly as she makes coffee. You watch her move, her hands deftly arranging mugs and spoons, the way she tilts her head when she reaches for the sugar. Something about it tugs at the edges of your mind. You can't place the memory, but it feels warm, like a blanket that's been folded away for too long. You slide into a new routine, discovering her habits and quirks, as if they're tiny clues in a gentle puzzle. She always taps her spoon on the side of the mug before stirring, a nervous little tick. You notice how she lingers by the window when she's thinking, letting sunlight kiss her face. And she notices you noticing her, smiling faintly, as if acknowledging a secret between the two of you. Afternoons drift by in shared silence and small conversations. You walk together to the nearby park, tracing familiar paths with tentative ease. The scent of cut grass and autumn leaves fills your lungs, grounding you in this reclaimed present. Sometimes she stops mid-step to watch a squirrel dart across the path, or to trace the patterns of bark on an old oak. You laugh at her small attentions, and she laughs back, a sound that makes your chest ache with something you can't quite name. Evenings are spent rediscovering the home you've shared. She finds old photos tucked behind frames, and you both pause, fingers hovering over the edges. You don't comment on the faces or dates. Instead, you let the images float between you, quiet and unjudged. There's a peace in this, an unspoken truce that neither of you had known in years. Sometimes at night, she falls asleep with her hand brushing yours. You stay awake a little longer, feeling the warmth seep into your skin, remembering the comfort of being close without remembering why it used to be so hard. The faint hum of the fan fills the room, and you trace patterns on the bedsheet, watching her chest rise and fall in steady rhythm. You still wonder if it was love or comfort that kept you together before. The memories are fragmented, but the feelings are clear. Tenderness, curiosity, and a growing sense of trust. Even in the absence of resentment, there's a fragility here, a realization that it could all unravel if you're not careful. One evening, she tells you about a dream she had. We were at the beach, she says softly, and everything was just light, nothing hurt. You nod, understanding more than words can convey. The dream feels like a promise, a subtle guide toward a life you can rebuild. You watch her pour tea, listening to the gentle clink of the spoon against the mug. She glances up, catching your gaze, and something passes between you, an acknowledgement of what you've survived and a curiosity for what is next. It's in these small routines, the quiet dinners, the shared jokes, and the soft touches that you both begin to remember what it means to be together without the weight of old arguments. You're learning to trust, to notice, and to delight in each other's presence again. And as you drift off to sleep that night, her hand brushing against yours, you feel the tiniest flicker of hope that this time you might not need to remember everything to love her fully. Weeks slip by with a comforting rhythm of rediscovery. You're learning the way she folds laundry, how she hums off key when she's nervous, and the little crinkle in her nose when she's concentrating. Yet beneath the easy laughter and quiet routines, a subtle tension stirs, something you can't name at first. It's the way she hesitates before answering certain questions, the way her eyes flicker as if chasing fragments of a memory just out of reach. One evening, she sits at the kitchen table, a notebook open before her. You watch from the doorway, curious, heart oddly tightening. She is scribbling furiously, her pen moving with urgency, and there's a seriousness in her posture that makes you pause. You want to ask what she's writing, but you hesitate, sensing this is private, a thread she's only beginning to follow. Later, she shares it hesitantly. I think I remember something, she says, voice low, almost afraid. Something about a time before the accident, about us, about someone else. She swallows, looks away, then meets your gaze. There's vulnerability there, raw and unsettling. You feel your stomach twist, a quiet tension threading through your chest. There is the shadow of the past you hadn't touched in weeks. She's remembering what you'd both forgotten, and now the story you were gently rewriting together risks fracturing. She tells you slowly about the affair, the distance that had grown between you, the longing she tried to mask. She speaks softly, carefully, as though testing whether her words will be met with anger or relief or something else entirely. You listen, a strange mixture of emotions rising and falling inside you, betrayal, sadness, but also an odd sense of clarity. For a long moment, neither of you speaks. The kitchen is quiet except for the soft tick of the clock. Outside, the evening sun filters through the blinds, painting warm stripes across the floor. You notice the way she's nervously twisting a strand of hair, the same gesture she made when she was unsure of the coffee's sweetness. It's a small human thing, intimate and grounding. You wonder if it would be easier to forget again, to erase this revelation and return to the fragile peace you had built. But you also see the courage in her eyes, the courage it takes to remember, to face the truth without shielding herself. You reach across the table, lightly brushing her hand with yours. She flinches at first, then relaxes, letting your fingers trace the lines of her palm. We're still here, you say softly, more to yourself than to her. We're still us. And in that moment, you realize the past doesn't have to dictate the present. The affair, the resentment, the distance, they're threads, but not the whole tapestry. You both can choose which parts to carry forward and which to leave behind. Night falls, and you lie together on the couch, listening to the quiet hum of the city outside. She rests her head on your shoulder, and you trace her hair, feeling the familiar softness beneath your fingers. Memories will come and go, fragments of pain and joy interwoven, but the present, the here, the now feels solid, real, enough. You still wonder if love can survive remembering, but in the slow cadence of her breathing, in the warmth of her hand in yours, you sense it can. Fragile, yes, but possible. The affair has returned, like a shadow passing over the light, but it doesn't extinguish what's been growing in its absence. It reminds you of what you lost and of the choices you still have. And as sleep tugs at your consciousness, you hold onto her hand a little tighter, feeling the possibility of forgiveness, the quiet power of starting over. The mornings grow softer now, filled with sunlight spilling over the kitchen table where she stirs her tea and hums softly, almost imperceptibly. The house smells of brewed coffee and something faintly floral, like the lavender sachet she tucked in a drawer you never noticed before. You watch her, tracing the curve of her shoulder, the way she tilts her head when she listens, and for a moment, it all feels untouched by time or mistakes. The truth has settled between you, like dust that glints softly in a shaft of light. She's told you about the affair, about the distance that grew between you, about what she lost and what she remembers now. And you've told her nothing beyond what your heart insists on keeping, the quiet acknowledgement that love is messy, fragile, and persistent all at once. There's no anger here anymore, only a quiet understanding that life is larger than the mistakes it contains. You walk through your days noticing things that before would have gone unremarked. The way she taps the rim of her coffee cup just so the sound of her laughter when she remembers an absurd detail from a dream, the delicate brush of her fingers when she reaches for a book on the shelf. These small patterns, these mundane gestures anchor you in the present. Evening comes, soft and calm. You sit together on the couch, legs brushing, a book forgotten on your lap. She leans into your shoulder, and you feel the gentle press of her hair against your chest. The world outside hums quietly, the distant murmur of cars, the occasional bark of a dog, the wind stirring leaves against the window. It all feels ordinary, yet extraordinary, because it is ordinary togetherness that you're learning to treasure. Sometimes the past whispers, a fragment of memory and argument, a late-night walk, a glance exchanged in frustration floats to the surface. You acknowledge it with a quiet nod, let it drift back into the deep where it belongs. And sometimes she pauses, remembering a fragment too. You don't flinch at these shadows. Instead, you accept them, recognizing that memory can return without demanding to dominate. You still wonder what might have been if the accident hadn't happened, if the resentment hadn't been erased by circumstance. But as you trace the line of her hand in yours, watching the soft rise and fall of her chest, you realize that the story you have now, the one written in tentative, glances, shared laughter, and patient touch, is the one that matters. Night stretches long and slow. The fan hums softly above you, the room dim except for the pale light of the bedside lamp. She sleeps against you, and you watch her face, memorizing its angles without needing to. There's no rush, no pressure, no lingering resentment, only a quiet, deliberate choice to remain together, to rebuild with intention, to love with awareness. This is what memory leaves behind when it is merciful, not the erasure of pain, but the clarity to choose what you carry forward. You let the past settle, unclaimed but acknowledged, and in its absence, you find space to be tender, present, and unafraid. You breathe in the soft night air, the scent of her hair, the faint warmth of the mug she left on the table, and you understand that this quiet, unassuming closeness is enough. The world outside will keep moving. Memories may return, shadows may flicker, but within this room, this gentle hum of life and love, you are home. The wind down arrives like a soft exhale. You sit together in stillness, letting the quiet stretch without urgency. The hum of the fan, the faint rustle of sheets, the gentle rhythm of breath, all of it becomes a lullaby. Outside, the night continues its slow arc, indifferent yet comforting. You think about how small gestures, the tilt of a head, the brush of a hand, the shared warmth of a coffee cup, can carry more weight than any grand declaration. You realize that love is less about perfection and more about attention, patience, and the willingness to stay present. As sleep tugs gently at your eyelids, you let go of lingering doubts. The past no longer dominates your narrative. It is acknowledged, but no longer dictates your present. The quiet routines, the soft laughter, the calm touch, these are your anchors. You feel gratitude for the accident that wiped clean the resentment, for the chance to start anew, for the fragile yet resilient intimacy that now surrounds you. You imagine tomorrow softly unfolding, filled with ordinary marvels, the sun glinting on the window, the smell of coffee, the gentle cadence of shared conversation. You carry this calm with you, letting it seep into your muscles, your thoughts, your heartbeat. As the night deepens, you feel a profound ease, a certainty that whatever memories may return, the love you are cultivating will persist, gentle and steady. You and she, together, choosing tenderness, choosing understanding, choosing to be present. Sleep embraces you finally, warm and steady, and the world narrows to this quiet, perfect moment.